Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Good evening, students. This is your mentor, Shivani Sharma from mentorbuddy.com. I hope I'm audible to all. Can everybody hear me? Please respond to the chat box if I'm audible to all the students. Good evening, everybody. I'm glad to receive a lot many CVs, right? Thank you so much for such an overwhelming response, but still I feel that a lot of you have not yet submitted your CVs, right? So kindly share your CVs with me because only those students would be allowed to attend a mock session with us who have submitted their CVs and who have gone through the skill test, right? So we have a skill test posted on our website, right? And we will be organizing very soon. We will be organizing a two-way communication class where you will also be allowed to speak, and we will be organizing mock interviews there, right? So without wasting any more time, let us quickly start the session. All set to go? All right, so let me just right, so let us quickly start today's session. And as you all know and you're aware that today's session is devoted to verbal communication. Now, this is something which is really very important for all of us, right? Verbal communication. So let us set the stage for the class and try to understand what do you expect. So I just want all of you to share your expectations that when I say that today's class is devoted to verbal communication, what do you mean by this? Students, please share through the chat box. What do you think that we mean by verbal communication, and what do you expect that what are we going to cover in today's class? Quickly respond to the chat box. What do you expect from today's class? That what are we going to cover in verbal communication? Okay, Damini is saying good speaking skills. What about others? Better knowledge, communication skills techniques, how to verbally present yourself, fluency, how to connect with other, posture, gesture. Janvi, posture and gesture are a form of non-verbal communication that will take up in Sunday class. How to face audience, word choice, vocabulary, improve knowledge, interpersonal communication. All right. The professional way of talking, how to build confidence. So we are going to cover a few of the basics related with verbal communication that is going to be helpful for you so that you will identify that what do we mean by this, and what are the things that we should keep in mind when we are communicating with others. And this in turn will help you in building your confidence. All right, students. Now let me just share with you that what do I expect from you all. We have some ground rules for the class, those who are joining today for the first time. The ground rules are that you are going to listen very attentively. You will participate actively in the class. Through the chat box, you'll be answering the questions. You are allowed to share your experience at the end of the class, right? Keep a notebook and pen ready. Please be respectful to each other and write down your queries when I'm taking the session. And towards the end of the session, I will allow and I'll give you 5 minutes time where you can raise your queries, right? So there are two program objectives. First, we'll be discussing what are the different types of verbal communication. And secondly, we'll be discussing certain do's and don'ts that you have to keep in mind when verbal, when you are communicating verbally with others. All right. So let us first try to understand that what do we mean by communication? What is communication? So students, the word communication is basically derived from a Latin word, And this word is called as communis, right? So basically this is a Latin word communis, and the meaning of this word communis is to share, right? So the word communis means to share. So when I say communication, it means sharing of ideas, concepts, feelings, and emotions, right? So whenever we are communicating, what do we mean by communication? So, and what do we communicate? Let's say I am the sender of the message. I am communicating my ideas, my feelings with you, right? And this is what is communication, right? So basically, communication is a two-way process, right? When I say two-way process, there is a message that you can see out here, and there is a feedback, right? Let's say this is ma'am, right? So I am the sender of the message, and all the students are the receiver of the message. I am sharing some important information with you all, right? As you see, this is the arrow, and you are sharing the feedback with me. So when I ask question and you respond through the chat box in the question box, what is that? That is the feedback that you all are listening to me clearly, you are able to understand it, or if you have any queries, you ask me through that chat box or the question box only, isn't it? So communication is a two-way process. Let us try to understand this communication process, right? So who is the sender of the message? If we consider presently this class as the to understand the concept of communication, I am the sender of the message, right? So let's say my name is Shivani, right? So I am the sender of the message. Those who don't know my name is Shivani, right? And I'm your mentor from mentorbuddy.com. If you'll just visit mentorbuddy website, you will find a lot of videos and a lot of lectures by me on verbal ability and soft skills, right? So I am the sender of the message, and all the students are the receiver of the message, right? As you all are attending the session, so all of you are receiver, right? Now, what I'm doing, I am basically transmitting or communicating a message to all of you. How am I communicating this message? I am encoding. Encoding means what? Whatever ideas and thoughts I have in my mind, I am encoding it in English language, and I am communicating it to you. What is the channel that I'm using? Right? So the channel or the medium that I'm using is this PowerPoint presentation, and it's a it's a webinar that we are organizing. So this is basically the channel of this communication process. Now all the students are the receiver of the message. What are you people doing? You are just decoding the message that I'm sending to you. I have encoded my thoughts in English language. You are decoding these words, these ideas, these thoughts that I have in mind, and and you are trying to understand it, absorb it. Suppose you are not able to understand anything, so what will you do? You will, through your feedback, you can send it to me, ma'am, this is not clear. Or if I when I ask question and you respond to me, so then I get a feedback that whether you are able to understand the concept or not, right? Now here you can see noise written out here. So noise is what? Noise is any obstruction that can hamper the encoding of the message for the receiver. Let me give you an example. Suppose I start speaking in Spanish, right? So not many of you are aware of Spanish as a language, right? So now this, if I'm going to talk in Spanish, this will be the noise. Why? I'm encoding in a language that you are not able to decode, right? So that will act. Noise means obstacle, deterrent, hurdle, blockage, whatever word you want to say, right? Now this noise could also be through a channel, Suppose we are conducting an online session. This is a webinar, so you need to have good internet connectivity for this, right? Suppose there is some network issue from my side or from your side. What do you think? It is going to act as a hurdle, isn't it? You will not be able to understand what I am saying, right? So that will also, be a hurdle, or it will be an obstacle for you in decoding the message that I'm putting across, right? So this is the entire communication process. I am the sender, and my message to you is that today we are talking about the verbal communication. I'm encoding it in English language. I'm making use of some, some audios, some videos, and some pictures which I have used over here. The channel is, the online communication medium is webinar. You all are receiver. You are trying to decode the information that I'm sharing with you, right? And through your feedback, you are sending the message back to me, whether you are understanding it properly or not. Now, in this entire process, children always remember that the success of any communication process lies in the fact that, is there any hurdle, or is there any noise or any kind of obstacle there in the process or not? Clear? I think so far it is clear to everybody. Any questions so far till communication process? If you have any question, please post your queries through the chat box. I'm just taking a pause for 1 minute so that I can take up your questions. Any questions, students? Please quickly raise your queries. Thank you so much for responding. Okay, encoding and decoding. Encoding means the message that I'm trying to send it to you. I have put it in English language, right? And as you all are aware of English language, you are trying to understand the meaning of each and every word. That is decoding, right? So decoding means you are understanding what I am teaching to you. Clear? Now let us try to understand what are the different types of communication, right? We have understood what is communication. Now we'll try to understand what are the different types of communication. So the different types of communication are, there are two, no, broadly speaking, there are two types. One, based on communication channel that we use, and second is based on the style and purpose of communication. Right. So first, let me talk about this. So based on style and purpose, there are two type of communication: formal and informal. So formal communication is when you interact with your teachers in college, when you will go to your organization for working, when you are interacting with your colleagues, with your superiors, with your seniors, juniors there in office. That is formal. Informal communication is when you interact with your friends in college canteen, or when you interact with your peers in a social gathering, right? That is informal communication. Now, if we talk about based on communication channel, so we have non-verbal communication and verbal communication, right? So verbal communication means what? Whether it will be done, either it will be through oral communication or written communication. And non-verbal communication means when you are communicating it through your posture, gesture, eye contact, right? And other factors. That is called as non-verbal. Simply, try to understand verbal means when you're talking about words. Now, these words, you can express it through oral medium or written medium. For example, the class which we are having right now, this is making a combination of, verbal communication channel. Oral is what the description that I'm sharing with you, whatever message I'm putting across to you. And written is the, the slide that you are seeing, the message that you are able to see through this PowerPoint presentation. This is the written one, right? Non-verbal communication we'll take up in the next class. Today we are going to talk about verbal communication. So verbal communication basically consists of speaking, listening, writing, and reading. Always remember, anything that is dealing with words is called as verbal. Sorry, it's called as, yes, verbal communication, right? It could be through written form or oral form, right? So oral form would be speaking and listening, and written form would be writing and reading, right? So I have written down this material and you are reading it from it. I am, speaking about few of the elements and you are listening to it carefully, right? So these four things are important. Always remember, students, communication means reading, writing, speaking, and listening, right? This is what verbal communication is all about. And these all skills need to be really practiced and mastered, right? Skill means anything that you are going to practice over a period of time and master. So we have four types of verbal communication here: public communication, intrapersonal communication, small group communication, and interpersonal communication. Right? Public communication means, let's say, when a political leader, or let's say when PM is organizing a big rally, right? Or when any political leader for that matter is organizing a big rally. When Baiju Ravindran is, teaching to a big group of students, right? So the entire stadium or the big playground is full of students there. That is public communication, right? And generally it is one way. Then we have intrapersonal. So students, always remember, the word intra means within, right? The word intra means within. So when I say intrapersonal communication, it means when you are communicating with your own self, right? That is called as introspection also. Or when you are communicating within your group, or when you are communicating within your college, within your home, that is intrapersonal, right? So that it depends, right? It's intrapersonal group communication, intrapersonal organizational communication, or things like this, right? Then the other one being interpersonal communication. Now this word inter means between, right? The word inter means between. So interpersonal communication means when a communication happens between two or more people. That is called as interpersonal communication. Am I clear on this? And then we have small group communication, right? So let's say we are a small group of, let's say, 4, 5 to 10 students, and we are interacting among ourselves. That is called as small group communication. Clear? So generally these are the four types of verbal communication. Now we have talked about that verbal communication are of two types: oral communication and written communication, right? So if you have a look at this list where we have talked about the advantages and the disadvantages, it will go vice versa. So the advantages of written communication will be the disadvantages of oral communication, and the disadvantages of written communication will be the advantages of oral communication. All right. So written communication advantages are: when you are communicating through a document, it can be a memo, it can be a letter, it can be an email, right? So you have an hard evidence. So suppose your company is not giving you an appointment letter and they're saying that we'll pay you 50,000 per month, but your appointment letter is not showing that. It is just showing that you are joining as a trainee with some monthly stipend, but that sum is not clear there, right? So that document you will never be. So tomorrow if somebody says that, where, what is the proof that we have hired you on for 50,000, right? So when you have that on in written, so that is a hard evidence. So students, please understand one thing very carefully, that as a fresher, as an executive, as an intern in the organization, whenever you are sending any message to anyone, or you are communicating anything in a written form, be double sure about it. Check it at least 2 to 3 times whether what you are sending is appropriate or not, right? Another very important advantage or very good thing about written communication is that it reduces disagreements, right? So when you have put down something in written form, everybody is going to understand it in the same manner. Nobody can say that I think that you were saying this, right? Because saying is not a question there. All the essential information you can share when it's a written document. A written document, you can use it as a legal, for legal purpose also. Safety, right? Whatever confidential information, whatever important information you want to store for a longer period of time, you can always, do it in the form of a document. You can display it anywhere and to anyone, and it is always easy to copy and distribute if you have any communication in written form, right? What we are doing currently, I have to communicate, the entire soft skills topic with you. What am I making use of? I'm making use of written communication because it is easy, so to share with a larger amount of people, right? So to a large audience also I can cater to, and I can communicate it specifically in the way in which I want, right? Now let us have a look at the disadvantages. The disadvantages are that there's no direct feedback to written communication. Suppose, I'm sending a letter to my senior asking for a 1 day leave. I have to wait for his response, right? Suppose the response is not coming today, then I'll be waiting tomorrow, then one more day, right? You cannot immediately say that, sir, I have written an email 1 hour back and you have not yet responded, right? Whereas in oral communication, you can go, you can easily ask, sir, I just want 1 day leave. So whether the boss says a yes or no, you will get to know immediately, right? So that is the issue with written and oral communication. So, as I said, that all the disadvantages of written communication will be the advantage of oral communication. Then written communication is time consuming, right? Why it is time consuming? Because when you are putting down anything in words, you have to be double sure about what you are writing. One thing. Secondly, appropriate grammar, appropriate words are very important. Understandability, you might have written in English, and somebody might not be very good in English who's able to understand. Language also plays a very important role. Those who have good command over language are able to put across their points in the best manner. Sometimes, it happens that even a smaller message also gets very long, right? Sometimes it becomes confusing also. If you are not having good command over a particular language, it becomes confusing. The reader might not be very interested in going through that written communication that you're sharing, and there is no body language that is visible. Suppose you're sending an email or you're sending a letter, that right, or I'm just showing this PPT. Now I'm not able to see all of you, neither you are able to see me. So I am not able to assess whether you are understanding the concepts or not, right? Because no body language is involved. Whereas when we talk about oral communication, you can have a look at the body language of the audience also. You can get to understand, even if the feedback, you might not get the feedback in words, but you will get the feedback through the body language of your audience also, or the body language of the receiver, whether the speaker is in conformity with you, the audience is in conformity with you or not, right? So these are the certain advantages and disadvantages of written communication, right? No, so see, effective communication is very, very important. And why am I saying this? Because man is a social animal. We all are social animals. We have to communicate with each other, whether professionally or personally. There is nobody who can say that I don't communicate. There's a saying in the field of communication which says that even if you don't communicate, you're communicating something, right? Suppose your friend has come to your home, or let's say you are going to college tomorrow, but you're not speaking with anyone, not even with your best friend, right? So what is the impression that your friend is going to have? You are not communicating anything verbally, right? But then also you are communicating that might be you are not well, you are disinterested in speaking with anyone, you are angry with your friend, anything, right? So that is why we say that even when you are not communicating, you are communicating a lot. So if we want to become effective communicators, there's no question of if, we have to become effective communicators. And why do we have to effectively communicate? So that we can avoid miscommunications and misunderstanding, both in professional relationships also and in personal relationships also, right? So let us try and have a look at 7 C's of effective communication. This video will help you in understanding what are the basics of effective communication and how can we become an effective communicator, right? Let us have a look at this. If you people have any queries in the meanwhile, the video is getting loaded. If you people have any queries, you can post it through the chat box. I'll take up the queries. Is the video audible? Are you people able to hear? Students, are you able to hear? All right. So please have a look at, the things that are written. So let us talk. See, let us talk about the 7 C's of effective communication. So the first C stands for completeness. What do we mean by this? This means that whenever you are communicating with somebody, your message should be complete and it should be able to bring desirable results. How you are going to complete your message? You are going to provide all necessary information, right? And right, so you are going to provide all the necessary information to the receiver of the message that will make your message complete. And if you think that it is desirable, then you can give some extra information or some extra, you know some points or some context. This is what we mean by completeness. Now the second C stands for correctness. So correctness basically means that whatever you are sharing with your audience or with your viewers or the person with whom you are communicating, it should be correct. Now when we say correct, it means grammar, punctuation and spelling. There should be no error in terms of this. So you are going to make use the correct level of language which is comprehensible and understandable by your audience. Include only words and figures. There should be proper grammar, punctuation and spelling, right? So please don't make use of anything which you're not sure of. The third C stands for clarity. So the clarity demands that the business should be correct and concrete. Purpose should be clear. For example, we are having this session right now and the purpose is very clear. I'm clear that why you are attending the class, right? Because you want to improve yourself in the terms of skills so that you can come out with, you are able to secure a job for yourself after completing the session. And you are also very clear with the purpose of these sessions, right? So it should be clear and it should be clearly communicated also. So that is why, at the start of the class also I communicate it to everybody very clearly that this is what I expect from the class. So, and I always ask from you, so what is your expectation from the class, isn't it? So I hope that you people are able to understand this video now, right? Because you were not able to hear the video sound. So I thought that let me, elaborate this. All right. Okay. Fair enough. Let's move ahead. So proper punctuation makes the writing clear. Please understand punctuation marks are very important. Where you are going to put an comma, where you are going to put a period, that is a full stop. It can change altogether the meaning of the sentence. Choose precise and familiar words. Don't make the sentence very complicated by involving a lot of jargons and unnecessary involving too many thoughts in one sentence. Construct effective sentences and paragraphs, right? Make it very simple and clear. The fourth C says conciseness, exactly the point that I'm trying to put across, that business executives are very busy, right? The spelling of executives is wrong. It's EXECUTIVES, right? So business executives are very busy. Understand, nobody is having so much of time that they are going to, go through all the unnecessary lengthy messages that you are sharing. So please try to eliminate the wordy expressions, make it precise and to the point. Include only relevant material in all your professional mails and letters and messages. Don't repeat the message again and again, right? So you have to be concise and to the point as far as professional verbal communication is concerned, right? Then the next C, as we have discussed, it stands for courtesy. Courtesy means being humble and polite. That is the fifth C. Remember, there are three golden words: please, sorry, and thank you, right? So courtesy plays a very important role in business writing. Don't assume that if you're writing please, why should you write please? Why should you write humble, right? So please use expressions that show respect. Be sincere, tactful, thoughtful and appreciate. And one thing for sure is that when there is a formal mail or professional mail, ensure that you respond to your mail promptly. Don't keep it hanging for 2 to 3 days. Be very quick and in and prompt in responding to that. Sixth C stands for concreteness. Now concreteness means again being specific and relevant to the point. So if I'm talking about communication, verbal communication, then I'll only talk about verbal communication and not anything else, right? So communicating concretely means you have to be specific and definite. Use specific facts, make use of proper figures so that you are able to put across your point. And then the last C stands for consideration, right? Consideration means what? You are also going to take others' perspective in account because you are writing and you are sharing a message to a receiver. So the receiver is very important, right? So instead of focusing on I or we, What is your focus? Your focus is on you. And who is that you? You is the receiver of the message. So you are going to design your message in a manner which is understandable and comprehensible by the receiver of the message, right? So focus on you and show your consideration also, right? So is this clear to all of you now? So these are the 7 C's for effective communication, which we are always going to keep in mind. Right, students? So you can make a note of this. What are the 7 C's of effective communication? Please make a note of this. Can anyone tell me what are the 7 C's? Completeness, conciseness, clarity. Yes. Completeness, conciseness, clarity, and please complete the 7 C's quickly so that we can continue. Then we'll talk about barriers. So what are the 7 C's? Quickly, quickly. Okay, completeness, conciseness, courtesy, consideration, correctness. Okay. Have we completed 7? I don't think so. Completeness, clarity, concreteness, conciseness, considerate. 2 are missing. Concentration. Very good, Priyanka. Concentration is one. Okay. See, you can always design your own 7 C's. And please make a list of all 7 C's which you think are important for verbal communication. Now, let us quickly talk about barriers in communication. So, noise can be internal or external. External noise, I'm sure that you have understood. Suppose I'm taking this session and somebody is playing some loud background music, or because of some network issues, you are not able to hear my voice. So, that is called as noise. Another barrier in communication is some assumption. Suppose I assume that all of you are aware of what is communication and what a verbal communication. Or you assume that ma'am is going to teach from very basic level. That is of no use for us. That is an assumption or a misconception which you might be having in mind, which will stop you from understanding or grasping the points that we are discussing right now. Inappropriate medium could be another. So by inappropriate medium, what do I mean? This means that I am making use of a medium which you are not very clear of. You are not able to comprehend the points. You are not very comfortable. Let's say, for example, I have made use of a YouTube video right now, right? And you were not getting that audio. So if I would have not elaborated on the points that I was trying to show, it would not have been effective as a medium, right? So sometimes that also acts as a barrier in communication. Language differences, again, suppose I'm talking in French and you don't understand it, right? Or I'm talking in English, you are not able to understand that. Emotions also, you must be considering how emotions can act as a barrier in communication. Suppose you just had a fight with a very good friend of yours, or let's say somebody is not keeping well at home, right? So emotionally you are not very stable, or you are not in a correct mindset to attend the session. So that can also act as a barrier in communication, right? Or I might be thinking of something else. I might no the same problems could be there from my side also, right? So sometimes emotions also act as a barrier in communication. Then the next is poor listening skills. Now, can anybody elaborate on this? What do you mean by poor listening skills? Poor listening skills and distractions. You can raise your hand. Let me just see if I can unmute anybody. Okay. All right. So I am unmuting all of you, but I will just call out the name. You can raise your hand, and then when I call out the name, only then you can respond. If you will not behave properly, I'll mute you all again, right? So who is going to answer? What do you mean by poor listening skills? Right. Poor listening skills. What do you mean by this? Anybody can elaborate. Who wants to talk about this? Poor listening skills. Yes, Tushar. Tushar, you can unmute yourself and answer. I have unmuted you. Yes, Tushar. What do you mean by poor listening skills? Tushar Javali. Tushar, are you able to speak? No? Tushar, you can unmute your mic and speak. Okay, never mind. Let's follow this then, the chat box only. Right. So, nervousness is also factor for emotions. Yes. Poor attentive, inattentive. Okay, you're not able to unmute. Not an issue. Not an issue. Let's continue like this. Yes. Poor listening skills means that you are, you are not able to give in your best. You might be listening to what the other person is saying, but that listening is just a passive listening. There could be a number of distractions also, and this can also, act as a distraction for you, right? So these are generally, some barriers in communication. Now, students, why am I talking about these barriers? So that you can avoid all these things and be an effective listener. And at the same time, when you are communicating with somebody, you have to keep in mind that how are you going to avoid all these barriers so that your message reaches to your receiver in the best possible manner. Clear? Right. So now let us talk about this. Now look at this. This is talking about the transmission of message. We have already discussed about this. On one hand, let's say I am the sender. I have some ideas in mind which I have to send it to you. I am encoding these ideas through different words, right? You are the receiver of the message. You have decoded these ideas, and then you are able to comprehend it, right? What can act as a deterrent is the noise, right? We have already talked about this, right? And then the receiver is sending this message. You can see the arrow. Now you can see an arrow going from sender to receiver. This is the verbal message that I'm sending to all of you. And then you are the receiver. You are sending me a message back in the form of feedback through the chat box, right? Now, any kind of interference in this communication that is going to hamper is called as noise. It may be a physical noise, and it may be an internal stimuli also. So when we have talked about, let's say, emotions, or when we have talked about any kind of physiological barrier, suppose you are suffering from cough and cold, right? Or you are down with fever, you have running fever, right? So then of course you will not be able to attend to the messages as attentively as you should, right? So this will also be termed as a noise, right? And this is something which is physiological, right? Now let's talk about some more barriers in communication. The first and the foremost is semantic barrier. Semantic means related with language. Just now we have talked about this. Suppose I'm talking in some other word in other language which you're not able to comprehend, that is semantic barrier. So we have symbols with different meanings, right? So I might be using a particular symbol which you are not aware of, right? So then that is going to act as a barrier because you have never come across such a symbol. How will you comprehend that, right? Sometimes the sender of the message, if sender of the message is making use of badly expressed messages or is making use of jargons. Suppose I am a communication skills trainer and I start making use of few jargons, let's say BC. Now BC in terms of us means business communication, or CS for BTech student means computer science, and for a trainer means communication skills, right? There might be some unclarified assumptions from the side of the sender of the message or from the receiver of the message. If that is not set clear, if the expectations are not aligned, the assumptions are not explicitly stated, then that can also act as a barrier in communication. Sometimes students, it also happens that the same word is having different meanings, so you have to make it very clear to your students that what do you mean by that particular word, right? So that your intention, your expectation, your objective, everything is very clear. All right, so that is what is barriers in communication. Now, other than semantic barriers, we also have certain psychological barriers. I think we have talked about this, but let us quickly just once again quickly run through these things. Psychological barriers: lack of attention could be one, as I'm very sure most of you are sitting like this fellow, right? How many of you are sitting like this fellow, half eyes closed, half awake? How many of you are sitting like this? Yes, I'm sure nobody will say. Aishwarya is saying no, ma'am. Acha, tell me one thing. How many of... Yes, Tushar, I do agree. During afternoon hour classes, most of you sit like this after having a heavy lunch. Right now, it's going to be dinner time, so I don't think you are feeling sleepy right now. Right? And I'm very sure in my classes, nobody feels like this, because communication skills is something which is very interesting for all of us. Isn't it? How many of you agree with me on this? That communication skills are interesting to study? Let me see how many yes I get on this. Communication skill, is it interesting to study? Okay, let me just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, okay. It's really interesting. Okay, very good. Okay, I've got a lot many yes. Thank you so much for keeping up my morale. All right. So let us quickly understand the different psychological barriers, right? So lack of attention is one. Then premature evaluation, as I was saying, that if you try to evaluate, let's say the speaker has just started talking about a particular thing and you feel, oh, this is so boring, I don't think that this is of any interest for me, and you are creating a barrier that is psychological in nature, then your mind will also not respond to it, right? So please ensure that when you are talking about professional communication, don't make any presumptions, don't come to any premature evaluation without listening to the complete message. And let me tell you students one thing: if you have come to an evaluation without completely studying the message properly or attending the message properly, your mind will also not respond to the trivialities then, right? So premature evaluation is also something which is very, very harmful. Loss in transmission and poor retention, that is very well evident in these days, because we all are communicating through online mode. So sometimes because of network issues or something, we are not able to communicate properly. Distrust of communication: sometimes when you don't trust the speaker of the message, then you're not going to respond to it positively. Failure to communicate is another such thing. Suppose the person who is sending across the message is not able to put it in in properly effective manner, then also that acts as a psychological barrier. Clear? What are we going to do if we want to become good speakers? If we want to become effective speakers, we have to take care of all these psychological barriers that it should not come. And if we want to be effective listeners also, the receiver of the message, then also we have to keep this thing in mind, that we need to be very, very careful about the message that is being shared with us, right? Now, before I could share a very interesting video with all of you, this is called as Recipe for Great Communication. So now all of us are going to play the role of a chef, right? So all of us are chef and we are going to prepare our recipe. How can we become good or great communicators? And then I'll take you through, we'll quickly navigate through the website of Center of Excellence, that how can you register yourself for the upcoming webinars of mine, right? So let us have a look at this.
Recipe for great communication. We're going to think about our communication as a meal. What are the ingredients that we need to have present in the meal? How do we put together a great meal? Well, let's think about it this way. There are really 5 ingredients that have to be.
Is this video properly audible to all? Are you people able to hear the video now? Are you getting the audio of this? Okay, great. This is a very interesting video. Have a look at this. You will enjoy.
All the time for great communication is possible. Right? The first ingredient is clarity. How do you make your point clearly? It's got to be clear. Second. Right. So this is more or less the points that we have discussed, but the way in which this sender of the message is putting across the the entire thing is very impressive. I really like the way in which he has talked about. So the first thing, that the first and the basic ingredient if you want to become a great communicator is the clarity. That means whatever points you want to share with the receiver of the message has to be very clearly stated, right? Make your point clearly. Ingredient is brevity. The second one is brevity. That is, make your point quickly. Don't just beat around the bushes. How do you help people see how your point or how your message fits in for them? How does it make sense for them? Fourth ingredient is impact. How do you make it stand out? How do you make it memorable? Fifth ingredient is value, which is fairly self-explanatory. How do you make a message valuable? We're consuming it. 5 ingredients that will go into every communication meal: clarity, brevity, context, impact, and value. Okay, great. So we've got our ingredients. Now the next question is, how much of each ingredient do we need? And just like cooking a great meal, that's going to depend. Different meals are going to need different ingredients. They're going to need the ingredients in different proportions. And different audiences are going to have different palates. They're going to want different things out of their meal. So the really savvy communicator is going to look at their row of ingredients. They're going to be able to determine, based on the audience that they're preparing their message for, what ingredients need to be dominant. So how do you figure it out? Well, when do we need clarity to be an important ingredient? Well, when there's a lot of complexity around the situation or around the issue, you need to make sure that your message includes plenty of clarity so people understand what this is really about. When do we need a bit of brevity? Well, when time is short, when the attention span is short, when your audience is going to be very, very senior, you want to make sure you have enough of the brevity ingredient. How about context? Well, maybe when there's unfamiliarity with the topic, or maybe when you're communicating with people that have a lot on their mind, or are walking in to listen to you, having just come from something very, very confusing, you probably want to make sure you use plenty of the ingredient context. How about impact? When we need to have a lot of impact in our messaging. There's a lot of noise. We really need to work hard to make it memorable. We really want it to stand out. That's going to be hard to achieve. We've got to make sure we add plenty of impact. And the fifth and final is value. And I think when there's skepticism, when there's choice, when there's competition, when a decision has to be made, and there are other choices that could be made, we have to sure that there's plenty of value in the meal that we're creating. All 5 of these ingredients are going to be present in every meal that you create, every communication that you put together. You always want to make sure that you have some clarity and some brevity and some context and some impact and some value. But depending upon who you're cooking, depending on who you're preparing, you're going to make choices of which of those ingredients needs to be most dominant. Think about your communication when you're preparing a meal for an audience and you want to impress them, you want them to have a great experience. And different audiences have different palates, which means you have to adjust the ratios of the ingredients depending upon the situation.
That you all like this, right? So what are we talking about? What are the 5 most important ingredients if you want to prepare a great meal of communication? Clarity, brevity, context, impact, and value, right? And then depending upon your audience and also depending upon what is the message that you are trying to put across, you are going to increase or decrease the amount of these 5 ingredients in some of the palettes or in some of the dishes, depending upon the need of the audience. For example, some of you might like to eat something which is very tangy in flavor, tangy. Some of you might like some, but sweet taste, right? So depending upon the needs of all of audience, to which target group you are catering to, you are going to decide the message, the clarity, brevity, context, impact, and value, right? So this brings us to the end of the class. So that's it from my side for the presentation. I hope it was interesting for all of you, right? So any questions so far, students, if you have? Now the last 2 minutes for the questions. I have put across whatever important points I think that are going to be there as far as verbal communication is concerned. Next class will be taking up non-verbal communication, right? So, all right. So, are you able to understand the class properly? Are you able to get the ideas that what is verbal communication and why it is so important for all of you? Why are we studying verbal communication, right? All right. So thank you so much for your time, and all of you who have not shared their resume with me, please share your resume with me. I'm sharing the Gmail ID. It's feedback.mentorbuddy@gmail.com. Right. So I request all of you to share your resume with us on feedback mail so that we can create a group and can start organizing the mock interview sessions, right? Very soon we are going to have a session where it will be two-way communication, Raj, where you can also speak with me. See, there are certain challenges, because this is a big group. If I am going to allow the, you know if I'm going to unmute all of you, it might create a chaos. So we'll see to this how we can work on this, right? All those who have shared earlier, no, you don't need to do it again. Those who have not, they need to share their resume with me, right? My LinkedIn ID is Shivani Sharma. You can just search me there, right? And I'm using the same pic, right? So you people can connect with me on LinkedIn. So for certificate, those of you who have not got the certificate, please write to support@mentorbuddy.com. And those who want to register for the upcoming webinars, please do visit Center of Excellence. Right, I'll just show you how to visit Center of Excellence. Just a moment. Right, so what you're going to do is you will just type This is centerofexcellence.com. I hope you all can see CENTREOF with a hyphen excellence.com, right? You have to just click on this and it will take you to the site. There you can see student login. In student login, your username is your registered email ID with your college, right? And your password is your registered mobile number, right? You just have to sign in from here. The moment you will sign in, it will take you to the dashboard. And here on the left side of the dashboard, you can see a lot many things for you, right? You have to go to technical webinars, right? And when you'll go to technical webinars, you will find all my webinars available there, a list of all the webinars of mine, right? You can just book your seat or you can view the details and you can just register yourself for the seminar, right? And you will get the details of that seminar on the email ID of yours. Other than this, we have a lot of learning resources. Just click to learning resources and you can see reasoning, quantitative, verbal, right? So you can see all these resources. Just go to verbal, go to view details, and it will redirect you to the Mentor Buddy website. So if you want to go through the resources, you can also log in through the Mentor Buddy website as well. And there you have to go to company test, right? In company test, you can see soft skills here. Go to soft skills and there's one soft skills test. You can just click on this and you can, you know, give this soft skills test and we will be having your scores with us, right? Other than this also, we have a lot of other preparation material also for you. You can see a lot of, practice test also, interview related things also, and all of it is available on for free of cost, right? You can see a lot of free mock test also, right? So what I expect from all of you is to, visit the website, that is Mentor Buddy and Center of Excellence, register yourself for the upcoming webinars, and please do take up all these tests as well, right? So that's it from my side. I hope that all of you have enjoyed the session. Looking forward to see you all again on Sunday, 11 a.m. We'll be having our next session that will be focused on non-verbal communication. Thank you so much, students. Good night. Stay safe and take care. If you have any questions, you can just post it through the chat box. Otherwise, we'll just end the session. Thank you so much. Priyanka, you can post this question to me through mail. I'll surely respond there. Certificate for this webinar you'll be receiving that on your mail. Thank you so much. Thank you. For the feedback form for my sessions, okay, I'll design a feedback form and we'll share in the next class, right? So that you can just rate the sessions. Thank you so much, students. Good night.